grader at DGS.
I'm Finley Black. I'm an 8th grader at DGS.
I'm Marmar Canales, and I'm an 8th grader at DGS.
I'm Orion Evie, and I'm an 8th grader at DGS.
I'm Tyler Coburn. I'm a 7th grader at DGS. And this week's episode is about rigor. I will be talking about Miss Catherine because she helps me jot down words, break it down, and she helps me by helping me read the questions, and then I'll be able to solve them so I can get ahead in upper grades.
So I believe Mr. Balch helps me a lot with critical thinking because he pushes me to elaborate on my answers rather than just saying 1 + 1 is 2. He wants me to elaborate on why that is the answer.
I'm going to be talking about Mr. Messerly because in his classrooms we usually have notebooks that seem to have many resources in them to go to certain places if we need help with certain parts of the work. And if we're doing a lab, there's always in detail things that we need to do in the lab, and making sure that we have the best kind of evidence yeah.
I'd like to focus back on Mr. Balch because he's that kind of math teacher that doesn't, back to what Orion said, he advises his students to elaborate on their answer by teaching his students to elaborate more on their answer and just become better academic writers even in math.
Mr. Beery pushes us to critically think about not just our social studies concept, but about the life that we're living. He's pushed us to think about whether it was really the best thing that we ever started farming, and if it would be better if we were still hunters and gatherers. He's pushed us to think about whether America's criminal justice system should stay the way it is, or if we should move towards rehabilitation instead of retribution. And he just lets us think about these really big questions that have a lot of different sides that are really nuanced and are really controversial, and lets us do that as 7th graders, and we don't have to be adults who understand everything. We're just kids, and we get to think about big questions.
Yeah, it's great to have some of our students get a chance to talk about some of the moves that they're seeing from our teachers that are supporting their critical thinking in the class. And that's actually going to be the focus for our professional development on February 10th. For students and for families, it's probably just a day where, the teachers are working and the students aren't in school. But for us at DGS Northfield, these professional development days are a huge way that we can level up our school. What we're going to be focused on in this upcoming professional development is 2 different sides of rigor. There are some teachers that are doing a great job, and we highlighted Miss Catherine and we highlighted Mr. Messerly as teachers that really do a great job in the planning phase to not only ask students questions that promote critical thinking, but to also create resources that make it really accessible. Graphic organizers, digital notebooks in Mr. Messerly's case. In addition to that, though, we have some teachers like Mr. Beery and Mr. Balch that are pushing student verbal communication and critical thinking, promoting academic language, accountable talk sentence stems, really pushing student collaboration. And these systems also push rigor in the classroom. So we are videotaping these teachers. We have them in a panel. We're going to be learning from some of our teachers, and we rotate who we learn from as a staff. And I think that the way that we're looking at the craft of teaching is just how do we elevate the profession by seeing different teachers that are pushing us, learn from them, and then we can all grow. So these days are really valuable for us.
One of the most useful things we've done in professional development recently was actually unpack map data. It was really cool to actually see where students stand, which students have grown the most, which have not grown as much, and then actually create targeted interventions to see what can I do for student X who has a low MAP score and did not grow very much in the last semester of class, and what can I do for next steps? So actually reflecting on that and coming up with plans for individual students has been really impactful.
For me, what I really appreciate about our teacher work days is we always do bite-sized chunks of development. So rather than having one big day where we talk about differentiation, We touch on differentiation every time we have a work day, and we get to watch how other teachers approach differentiation in their class, the things that they practice, and then we're given the time to really think about it and apply it to our classes. So whenever we have our teacher work days, I always immediately implement a new differentiation strategy the next time I'm teaching.
So this week we get to learn a little bit more about the amazing Miss Montanari. She is a 7th grade literacy teacher and a teacher who really leverages strong student relationships and humor to help students just really dig into their learning. Also, hot take, if you ever happen to really need a Jolly Rancher, chances are she can help you out. Enjoy learning about Miss Monti.
A reason that I like Miss Monti is because she's empathetic and she cares about her students when they're upset.
One thing I like about Miss Monti's class is that she's able to let us work freely and in an open space where I feel like we can do our best work.
Something that I really like about working with Miss Monti is that she's really good at connecting with her students and communicating with her peers, even me in the classroom, creating all these resources for her students and always willing to help them out, whether it's with personal issues or classwork.
No?
Yeah.
Okay. I think there are 100,000 million things I love about teaching, but I think the biggest of them all, and especially middle school, is it's that perfect age where they're not quite old enough to have all the information in the universe and feel the weight of it all, but they're not so young that they can't start engaging and diving into complex conversations. So right now we're doing fishbowl discussions for uglies, and kids this week have been talking about how the author uses beauty standards to develop themes and make real-world connections. So kids have just been digging into these bigger concepts, and it's so fun watching them be able to make a million connections or start to see it in their world and discuss, do we think that's okay or is that just? And